It's Christmas junk journal time again. It's Laura over at Hyperstamper. I did a little sneak peek of this one yesterday and it was almost done then, and now I have finished it up. This was a science book, Our World of Science from the 1920s. I left the spine the same because I wanted to be true to the original book, but this image here of the three deer family is just wonderful and so perfect for Christmas. Deers are so symbolic at Christmas. And I just added some cardstock here to cover the science. It says science at the top, and I just wanted to cover that up. And I stamped the word Christmas here and added some birch bark. Kind of fun for the foresty theme here. And just some vintage jewelry here and some ribbon to match the front, and that's removable. And I put a really cool piece of birch bark here. I mean, it may break off. In that case, just glue it back into your journal or down the spine, but it's really very cool. Isn't it neat? So let's have a look on the inside. Alrighty, this is just a really pretty little vintage doily. Doily. Added that there, and I attached it very lightly so that you could pull that off and put it somewhere else or reuse it for another project if you liked. Some Christmas carol music here. We'll get to the top of that page. This came out of a children's book, and you'll see that some child over the last 100 years has gone in and colored it, which I find very endearing. That's the story of the snowman. A sweet little image there. More Canadian birch bark here. This is a nice thick piece with the holes in it. I love it. That's an antique doily with red. And I did find another 1950s bingo card, and this one has the 12 and 25 and 12 and 24, so Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on there. Now this is the last page of that 1899's Kris Kringle booklet. There's no color on it, but it is the original page here, and it's got the inscriptions here from Springfield, and you can see where it was the book was hand sewn together, and just a really sweet little image there. 124 years old, that one. And then this here is a plate out of a wonderful book, and it's The Legend of the White Reindeer. But look at this plate. It is stunning. The Passing of King Wren. So that's tucked into this pocket, and I've added some vintage sewing pattern tissue, red and green. And I got this pretty snow bunny here on from a children's book. I love leaving the holes where they sew the book together and bind it with string. So this song here is the Come All Ye Faithful. Is that beautiful? And then this is the plate, whoops, here from the carol book from the 1920s. And this is this beautiful angel with the bells and the around the edges, which what looks like church windows. Just a stunning plate there. And another bit of the song on the other side. 1972 Christmas seal stamp with some spine binding. And this is a page from a vintage botanicals book, and that's the pine cones and pine needles, all the different kinds of pine needles. Now this is very funny. It's from the 70s. Even though it looks like it's brand new, it actually is from the 70s. Oh dear, I have glue on my fingers. And I know that because it was my sister's. And she actually bought these in England. But it's 3D. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's got that sound. But it's pretty cool. So yeah, there you go. And red and green, of course, here we've got that beautiful embossed seal. And this is from the 1920s. And that is a bank interest rate. This is not new, or this is not old, it's new. It's a little Happy New Year. It was gifted to me, so I wanted it to go into a journal. So disclosure, that's the only piece of paper in here besides the tea-dyed pages that isn't authentic antique and vintage ephemera. Another one of these hand-colored pages. And on this side, this little girl putting her toys up on a shelf. Isn't that pretty? And look at this perfect Christmas carol here from an antique book, The First Christmas and Midwinter. And over here, I made this pocket out of a little Christmas children's story from a children's book. And this is from the very early 1900s, the first decade. And it's this lovely little winter scene. And then on the back, I put some antique paper for more journaling. And this page here, also from the early 1900s, the gingerbread boy. That's sweet. I just put a little tiny bit of paper there to reinforce a little tear. Didn't want it to tear more. That's very old, but it's very sweet. And here's a lovely page from a 1950s children's book. That's sweet. And it's the Christmas pup, that one. And then this is the Scrooge story here, Christmas Carol. And this is from the book A Christmas Card. And here we go here. I took this music page here from an 1800 songbook. And this is O Little Town of Bethlehem there. It's very brittle, so I didn't do too much with it. I was going to put some antique paper on the back to sturdy it, but it had amazing grace on the other side. And I didn't want to cover it up. So if you want, you can do that. But I wanted you to have the option. So let's see. Oh, look at the little squirrels. I love squirrels so much. And there's another children's book page with snow, a winter theme, and more from another book. Children's book pages here, Christmas stories. A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Doesn't get better than that, right? And the 12 Days of Christmas song here. This came out of the Theater Arts magazine from 1940s. And it's offering a subscription as a gift. And it's really cool. I quite love it. It looks brand new because the magazine was in pristine condition and this was just sitting inside. And yeah, how terrific is that? And more of the children's storybook pages, all about Christmas. Everything in here, all this antique ephemera is Christmas themed. So it's really hard to get that much, but I've been really trying hard this year to get enough to make all these Christmas journals. Now this is from the 1915 Girls' Own Annual, and it is a stunning photo, and then they've drawn over the photo this beautiful Among the Firs pine cones. I love it. Here's a little silhouette of Santa over here. And then on the other side, we have another little children's story there with the red and green and the fireplace. And then this says Christmas stories, and it's a blank page for journaling on. Whoops, that goes in here. And then this is another beautiful little plate from a children's book. And that is another winter scene and another bit of antique paper on the back for even more space to write. And again here, this is more of the Ginger Boy story. And again, I didn't cover it up because I'm going to leave it to the owner of the journal to decide what they want to do with that piece. I don't want to make that decision because these are 100-year-old pages and you might have another idea. But I did make this one into a pocket, the family tobogganing. Another 1915 Girls' Own Annual drawing here, which is that beautiful bridge in the snow. And vintage doily. I actually put it in so it could be a pocket if you wanted it to be, so you can actually tuck things in there. And 12 Days of Christmas, that's from that one is about 40 years old. So not as old, it's only vintage, but it's still really kind of fun and colorful. This is a sweet little book. Look at that. I didn't want to cut it down, so I just folded it over so you could see the whole thing. Isn't that fun? And that's from the 50s. And this plate here is from a children's, not a children's story, I'd say a youth storybook, and it is a Christmas story. So that's a nice plate from that. And over here, another one of these fantastic Theater Arts magazines, Theater Arts Chicago. And this offer expires December 31st, 1949. It's just in such great condition. I love it. So tuck that into the little pocket here. There we go. And there's more. This pretty postcard is just a whole whack of fir trees, and that's very Christmassy to me, so I quite like that. And that is from the early 1900s. And just a nice little cluster there with some red and white. Now this is some of this, I showed this in my last video, but I got this wrapping paper, and it's actually from the 1950s. I love it. It's so much fun. And so I took a chunk off and made it into a little booklet. So, and put it in here. This is the spine of the book here. And I turned that into a belly band and put in another one of these vintage napkins. It's faded. It's probably been loved over the years, but it is washed and cleaned and ready to go to a new home. Another wonderful bunch of children's book pages here. A little snowman here Another Christmas story here. And this is the snowman here. But look what happened. Aw. It ends happy though. He doesn't die. He comes back to life, I promise. Another Theater Arts Magazine special rates page here. And then we are coming into the end of the last signature in the book. There are 80 pages in this book. And more Christmas, and that is that. So the dimensions of this one are 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. So a nice good size. Hope you like it. It's going up on Etsy now, and it's hyperstamper.etsy.com. Thanks so much.